Sam, I enjoyed the curtain kind of peeling back with this latest article, observations from Memphis City Council's bus ride. So for people who haven't read it, we don't want to give too much away, as we always say, but just give us an overview of some of the reasons why you wrote this.
Yeah, absolutely. So last week, the Memphis City Council had its normal Tuesday meeting, and then it had a break on its schedule from 9 to 11 p.m. a.m. I'm sorry, they weren't there at 9 at night, 11 a.m. And so I'm at City Hall, which is my job. That's what I'm paid to do, is watch Memphis City Council meetings. And it occurred to me, the mayor had invited the public and the media to an announcement at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. And it occurred to me that the Memphis City Council had been invited, and I learned that the Memphis City Council had been invited to that event. Well, when there are 7 Memphis City Council people together for a non-chance meeting, that they just didn't all show up at the same fence post by mistake, essentially, that's a public meeting. And so I followed the Memphis City Council downstairs from its break in its regularly scheduled meeting and hopped on a city bus that was waiting to take the city council, all 9 members in all, to Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. And so that's why I wrote the article, is because this was a public, when there are 9 people, there are 9 members of a 13-member body together, that is a public meeting. The Memphis City Council did not notice that. They did not tell the public that they would be taking a bus ride together halfway across the city to Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium from City Hall. And so that's why we wrote the story, was to let the public know what kind of occurred on that bus ride. Not kind of, what did occur.
I appreciate you being there, because I agree with you. I can't remember a time where this kind of thing has happened before, where you have 7 members on a bus at the same time going to a certain event, and there's really nobody there to kind of hold them in check. So certainly glad that you were there. Any other members of the media there other than you?
No, there was no one else at the time. There was no other member of the media at the city council meeting that was watching in person. And so it was just me, and I hopped on the bus.
An interesting number of topics that were discussed there. Of course, they were on their way to Liberty Bank Stadium to get the Memphis Showboats release, and certainly that was an exciting moment when they, released that they were coming back. But that was not some of the topics of discussion on the bus. Can you talk about a little bit about
yeah, sure, absolutely.
Some of those topics?
The city council sort of did break what is known as the Tennessee Open Meetings Act, or the Sunshine Law. They're not supposed to discuss among themselves things that are before the body. So as we left City Hall, there was a good deal of discussion among the members about the Sheridan Tourism Development Zone surcharge that had just appeared before the council. The Tourism Development Zone surcharge is essentially a $5 tax on anything that would be sold, the room or food at the Sheridan, your drink at the bar, for example, and that would help pay for renovations, promised renovations to the Sheridan. That's a tax incentive. So that was largely the business that was discussed. I couldn't hear everything that was being discussed. I was at the back of the bus. There were members at the front of the bus. There were members in the middle. There were members around me on the bus. And so what happened beyond that was really kind of people being friendly, shooting, the proverbial breeze, so to speak. And, there was discussion of, Councilman J.B. Smiley, for example, was talking about how he used to go to basketball tournaments at ESPN's Wide World of Sports. Councilman Jeff Warren and Councilman Martavius Jones were like, well, the Wide World of Sports was actually a TV show back in the day on ABC. I knew that before the bus ride. I want to make that clear. And so that was what was discussed. And on the way back, there was a very interesting discussion where J.B. Smiley, again, sort of brought up the idea of the Memphis mayor's race. He joked to Councilman Chase Carlisle that, Chase Carlisle, you're going to be the one that gets in the race. You're going to be another member that gets in. And then he said that Judge Joe Brown, the former TV judge who made some chauvinistic comments a couple weeks ago about women was still going to get a significant amount of the vote. So that was really a sense of what was discussed. You can read more at commercialappeal.com.
Okay, and the first thing I thought of is, okay, if they are violating the sunshine laws, how do you, one, report the law that they're violating, and two, what happens to them if they are found guilty of violating it?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I'm not certain what action can be taken. It would probably be a good question for me to ask the Tennessee Coalition for Open Government as to what happens now. But my job was there to report and record, and that's what I did.
Yeah, because that doesn't sound right, and I'm glad you were there, and perhaps you being there is maybe a reason why they would argue that no, there weren't any laws broken. But in any event, there you were, while they're having all kinds of different discussions on important topics, and then kind of, I guess, razzing a couple of council members here and there on some other issues. What else did you take away from this bus ride?
Yeah, so I think people should go read the article on commercialappeal.com and see what you take away from it. What I took away from it is this, like a lot of groups of people that spend a lot of time together, there's some camaraderie now among the city council, and that hasn't always been the case. And so for me, as someone who's paid to observe city officials, it was a really eye-opening opportunity to sort of see them with their guard down. I mean, they knew, they looked at me multiple times. They knew that I was recording. They knew I was taking notes. That's what I do. They kind of expect that. But it was interesting to see them in a less formal setting. And that's really what I took away from it. I'm sorry that that's not really keen or insightful.
Well, listen, I appreciated it, and I loved reading it because, one, it peeled back the curtain of the group of people here that really kind of dictate some of the legislation that happens, ordinances that happens in the city of Memphis, but also seeing that they were talking about certain things on that bus ride, both there and back. And it was fascinating to kind of be, it sounds like, just from you riding it, just almost like a fly on the wall there as they're talking about various issues. Anything else you want to say before we let you go on this? Because we want to let everybody know that you can go to commercialappeal.com, read more about it, or you could just pick up an issue of the Commercial Appeal on newsstands right now.
Absolutely. No, I don't have anything else. Andrew, it was great to see you today. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving, and everyone has a great Thanksgiving. And I'll see y'all next week.
That sounds good, Sam. Listen, I appreciate you writing down these observations. It was very interesting, and I'd be interested to see, how someone reports a violation, and if they are found guilty of it, what happens? That's a discussion
absolutely.
for another time,
Absolutely.
Sam
See you,
Hardiman,
Andrew.
thanks so much. Take care.